There is a sound to absence. It's not a true silence, but a heavy, pressing quiet, broken only by the wind whispering through broken windows and the slow, patient creak of a structure settling into its own decay. This is the sound of abandoned places. They are more than just empty buildings. They are frozen moments in time, monuments to lives interrupted, to industries that collapsed, to dreams that were simply left behind. To stand in one is to feel the weight of that absence, a profound and eerie silence that seems to listen back to you. Today, we journey into these forgotten spaces, not just to see their crumbling facades, but to listen to the stories their silence tells. Consider the grand ballroom of a once opulent hotel, somewhere on the coast. A century ago, this room was filled with the shimmer of crystal, the murmur of sophisticated conversation, the lively strains of an orchestra. The air was thick with perfume and cigar smoke, and the floor vibrated with the footsteps of dancers. Now, the only light filters through grime-caked windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the still air. The chandelier lies in a shattered heap on the floor, a skeleton of its former self. If you stand here long enough, in this profound quiet, you can almost hear the ghost of the music, the echo of laughter that has long since faded. The silence here isn't just empty, it's layered with the memory of sound, of life, of celebration. It's a silence that mourns. This specific quality of silence in places of former grandeur carries a particular weight, as if the very walls are straining to remember their glory days, creating an atmosphere thick with nostalgia and loss that can feel both beautiful and deeply unsettling to any visitor who dares to step across its threshold. This phenomenon is deeply rooted in our own psychology. We are pattern-seeking creatures, hardwired to expect life and movement in the spaces built to contain them. A school corridor is meant for the bustling chaos of children between classes. A hospital ward is meant for the soft sounds of recovery and care. A factory floor is meant for the roar of machinery and the busyness of labor. When we enter these places and find them utterly still, a cognitive dissonance occurs. Our brains scream that this is wrong. This unnatural stillness triggers a primal alertness, a feeling that we are not alone, not because of ghosts, but because the absence of the expected is, in itself, a presence. We become hyper-aware of every small sound we make. The crunch of plaster underfoot echoes like a gunshot. Our own breathing seems unnaturally loud. We are trespassing not just on property, but on time itself. This psychological response is amplified by our knowledge that these spaces were once filled with human activity, and that sudden departure creates an emotional vacuum that we can't help but feel, making the experience profoundly personal and often deeply introspective. From the ghost towns of the American West, where entire communities were built on a dream of gold and then deserted when the dream died, to the haunting skeletal remains of amusement parks, where rusting roller coasters stand as silent sentinels over weed-choked midway, the types of abandoned places are as varied as the reasons they were left behind. There are derelict mansions, their finery rotting, telling silent tales of lost fortunes and fallen dynasties. There are forgotten hospitals, where the silence seems to hold the pain and fear of countless patients, a stark contrast to the frantic energy they once contained. Each type of structure carries its own unique brand of silence. The silence of a mansion is one of lost prestige and privacy. The silence of an asylum is one of forgotten suffering. The silence of a factory is one of vanished industry and community purpose. Beyond these, there are entire abandoned islands where fishing communities once thrived, now being reclaimed by seabirds and coastal vegetation, their harbors silent except for the lapping of waves against crumbling docks. There are underground subway stations and tunnels that once pulsed with the rhythm of the city above, now lying in perpetual twilight, their silence feeling especially profound because it exists beneath the feet of an unaware population. Perhaps one of the most powerful examples of this eerie silence can be found in the exclusion zone surrounding the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The city of Pripyat was not abandoned by choice, but by necessity, in a matter of hours. It is a snapshot of Soviet life in 1986, frozen in a single, terrifying moment. The silence here is profound. It's a silence that has swallowed the sounds of a city built for 50,000 people. You can stand in the central square and hear the wind rustling the leaves of trees that now grow through the asphalt. A child's doll lies glassy-eyed in the dust of a kindergarten classroom. A book sits open on a desk, as if the reader will return any moment. This silence is different. It's not just the absence of people, it's the presence of an invisible danger, a radiation that you cannot see or hear, but that you know is there. The silence of Pripyat is the sound of both a past tragedy and a future that never was, a chilling reminder of our own vulnerability. This particular silence speaks to the fragility of human civilization when faced with forces beyond its control, creating a landscape that serves as both a memorial and a warning, where the absence of human life has allowed wildlife to return, adding another complex layer to the eerie soundscape of the zone. But the silence of abandoned places is not merely a passive state. It is an active force. It is the agent of decay. Without the constant maintenance of human hands, nature begins its slow, inexorable reclamation. The silence is broken by the drip of water finding a new path through a leaky roof, a sound that, over years, leads to the collapse of a ceiling. It's the sound of frost cracking stone in the winter, of wood splintering under the sun's heat. Plants take root in the most improbable places, a sapling growing from a gutter, moss carpeting a grand piano. The silence is punctuated by the scuttling of small animals and the calls of birds that have nested in the rafters. In this way, the silence is not an end, but a transformation. It is the sound of the world patiently, quietly, taking back what was always its own. This process of ruination is not a violent one, but a gradual and inevitable surrender to elemental forces, where the boundaries between indoors and outdoors blur, and new ecosystems emerge from the bones of our creations, creating a powerful narrative about the temporary nature of human dominion over the natural world. So the next time you see a photograph of an abandoned place or feel that instinctual pull to peer into a derelict building, know that you are not just looking at decay. You are witnessing a story. You are listening to an echo. These places are poignant memento mori, reminders of the impermanence of all our endeavors. Their eerie silence is a language we instinctively understand, a language of memory, of loss, of the relentless passage of time, and of a world that continues, quietly and patiently, long after we are gone. They stand as powerful monuments to the rise and fall of human ambition, each crumbling wall and dusty corridor speaking volumes about the lives that were lived within them and the universal truth that nothing built by human hands is meant to last forever, yet in their decay, they create a strange and melancholic beauty that continues to fascinate and haunt us ghost. If you enjoyed the eerie silence of abandoned places, make sure to subscribe for more forgotten places and chilling stories. Repeat button, share it with someone who loves that spine-tingling feeling. Bell, and don't forget to hit the bell. Silence often hides more than you think.